Yeah. Good morning, everyone. So, yesterday we learnt about how to deal with events. So, while working with events, we discussed one mouse related events. In mouse events, because all these are same like JavaScript, we learnt how to use a mouse over. So, one example we designed, this is one example we created, and this is on mouse over. So when mouse is over the image, that image preview will display. We are accessing data from a JSON file and we are using the data here. That's on mouse over, we are doing it. So here to deal with more examples and functionalities in order to learn other mouse events, you should also know how to handle style binding in React. This is as a part of along with events we will learn. Along with events we will use them. So what is style binding is simple. Style binding is nothing but how you can dynamically apply styles. Because in some events we need to do that now. Style binding means what? So style binding is a technique where the are dynamically styles are dynamically configured for element, where styles are dynamically configured for element. So you can apply CSS styles to any element dynamically. That is the point. CSS styles to any element dynamically. Generally, how we do this in JavaScript and how we do that in our React. Generally in JavaScript, how do you put the style? For example, we are having a heading. To this heading, we want to apply, this is JavaScript. To that heading, we want to apply some color or we want to apply some border style like that. Through JavaScript, we want to apply. That means if you've done some valid operation, the heading should show in green color, otherwise it should show in red color. We have to dynamically change the appearance. Then usually what we do to dynamically change the appearance. So in JavaScript, document dot what query selector, we access that heading, and to that we use an property called style. We use the property called style, and you know how to apply the style attributes. Style have a lot of attributes. Generally in CSS, the style attributes are different, and in dynamic, they are different. Dynamic means when you are applying styles dynamically, we have to follow camel case. Camel case representation we have to follow. For example, so we are having text align, that is CSS. Now dynamically how you write is text align. We have background color. Now dynamically we write background color. So we have like font size. Dynamically we write font size. If it is color, then we just write color. That means how you apply the styles. I want to apply the font size, or I want to apply a background color alignment. So we have to write here dot what text align is equal to some center. Like this, we apply styles to any element in JavaScript. In JavaScript, styles are applied by using a style property, and style property takes all the style attributes in a camel case. You have to write in a camel case. So that is in JavaScript. So now in React, how do you do? That means in React, how you bind the styles. So if you want to bind a style to any JSX element, JSX elements can bind styles. JSX element can bind styles dynamically using binding expression. Using binding expression. Using binding expression. We have to define the styles dynamically using binding expression. So binding expression actually, what is the binding expression here is, that means generally in HTML what we do, for example, we have a heading. You want to apply some style, we write a style. You cannot directly write the styles. In React, in HTML, you directly write the style and you can apply them through JavaScript. Here you have to write with a binding expression. And in this binding expression, if you want to write some styles, the styles are written in a object style. Styles are written in a object style. In that object, the key will be camel case. Camel case means we have to write text align. And the value for that will be, the value will be in a string type. Even you enter a number also string. That means I defined as center. You want to add one more, then here we define font size. And font size is suppose 40 pixel. Like this, we need to define the style. In React, you cannot directly write the styles. It's not possible. You have to write like a dynamic expression only. Styles are written only like dynamic expression. So we cannot write the styles. We cannot write the styles directly. That means generally, if you write style, what you write generally text align as what? Center, and the font size as 40 pixel. This is generally in HTML we write. This is invalid in React. That is invalid in React. In React, how do you write any inline style? You have to write the inline styles. So by using this technique, we have to apply inline styles. So Style binding is directly binding some values, or you can change the values dynamically. We can change the values also dynamically. Dynamically, we can change the value. We will see how we can dynamically change the values also. But first, you should know that in React, this is the way how you write the styles. For example, here we are having some mouse demo. So here, so I added a heading as Flipkart. Just roughly like Flipkart. So that is the heading I defined there. We want to apply some styles to that heading. We want to apply some styles to that heading. Then I'm writing style inline. And here I am writing in a quote. So, and I am applying some styles. So this is background color as yellow like this. So this is style I defined for that heading. That means we defined the heading, it shows error. Generally in HTML we write, and it says that it is not a string. That means you cannot write like this. Then how do you write? You have to put a binding expression. In the binding expression, again, style is an object. Object contains key. Key is a background, some color. Camel case you have to write. And colon value. Value is suppose you can give any value. Some yellow is the value. And now you can apply the background here. Multiple how you can apply, just put a comma and we say text align as what? Center. Then it will give you the text align. So in React, you cannot directly write the inline styles. You have to define the styles by using this technique. Right. Now, generally, how you can change the styles? We can change the styles. Dynamically, we can change the styles. For example, how you change the styles dynamically to any element. I am directly defining a value. You can bring the value from any variable. From a variable reference, we can bring the value and we can use the value here. Let's see one example. Later in validations and everywhere you will use it. I will just show you one basic example because later in every example we will use. So initially, this is how you define the style. So this is invalid and this is the valid. All we have to define in camel case. So style object contains a key and value pair. Key is style property defined in camel case. Key is style property defined in camel case. Value is defined in a string format. That means we have like background color and red. Font size and 20 pixel. Like this we define. Key is defined. Key is a style property defined in camel case. Value is defined in string format. So dynamically, how we can apply the styles. One simple example I will show. So if you want to directly write styles in React, so make sure that always you are keeping inline styles in a binding expression, right? So let's see dynamically how we change that. This is okay. And I will add one more component here, style binding. Style binding.jsx. So export function style binding and just return a simple container. So style binding. Let's keep this in the startup. Style binding. Okay. Now what we are doing here is I kept a div. In this div, we have another suppose div. This will have a class name or say, yeah, style I will give. And this is background color as red. Okay. And this is having height as some 30 pixel, width as some 50 pixel. Okay. That is the style binding. We just have a panel. Okay. Class container fluid I am giving. Yeah. Fine. Now like this, I'm having another div. So this is green and this is blue. And this is having deflex. And you have these colors. Now what I want here is below this, I just kept a div with a heading, some sample text. Now what is the point is when I move the mouse, onto that color should apply to this text. That means when we move the mouse onto the color should apply to that particular text. So on which color mouse is present, that color should apply. So what we will do is we will write a function. So first we will write a function get color. This get color function should fire up whenever mouse is over the div. And it should get the color name. Which color they are using, it should get the color name. That means on which color the mouse is present, I want the color name. How you can send the color name? Color name is not directly present. It is present as a style. How you can send the color name to that function? On mouse over, we have to send. Then we learned how to send custom arguments. We learned how to send custom arguments. Tell me how to send custom arguments. So here we have to write event. What is it? On mouse over. On mouse over, we write a function. This function have to handle what? Get color. Into that, the custom argument is a string that is red. We are passing the color name as string. Or you can pass a color code, hexa codes and all you can use. Same function should be used by all. Same all point towards the same function, but this will send the color as what? Green. This will set the color as blue. Now what we need to do is we need to collect that color here. Okay. And we know that color is coming. We will use a parameter named color. We need to apply to this heading. So now what we will do, we will declare a state constant. So this is, here I am giving as text color, set text color, that is getter and setter, use state. What is the default color? Black. And how to apply this? How to apply this color to heading? How to apply that color to heading? We have to use what? Style. Style use a binding expression. The value is coming from this. But remember, this is actually expecting an object. But this is not an object. What is it? It is a string. And this is expecting an object. Am I right? So style always expects an object. So here we will put this in this way. What is the object? So object, what we will do is we will create an object. What is the object key? Object key is color. That is CSS attribute name, color. And color is currently what? Black. Okay. Now what you have to do is you need to set text color. And set text color, it is expecting a object. So in that object, we have a key. Key is what? Color. And what is the value? Value also coming from color. Color means this parameter. The parameter value you are collecting and you are storing in that color. And what is this color black? It is a CSS attribute. CSS attribute. And that CSS attribute we need to apply. The text color we need to apply here. Here it is expecting object. So what is the object? Text color object. Text color object contains a property called color and the default value is black. So by default its value is black. But when I move the mouse on red, this red value is passed. When you select red, the red value will be passed here. That red value will be used here. And it will set the color as red. And this is applied to this location. That object is applied to that particular heading. So now what happens here? When I move the mouse, it will be red color, it is green color, it is blue color. The colors are changing when mouse is over. On mouse over on the colors are changing. So when you move the mouse onto it, it will be that. Suppose when I move the mouse, it should be fixed there. You want to reset, then you have to use mouse out. Currently we are using mouse over. On mouse out, you can set it another color. So you move the mouse red. It is fixed with red now. No, I want that color only when mouse is over. After that, I want to reset the color. Then what you do? You need to write another function. What is the function is reset color. And what it is expecting? It is expecting the color. And or simply whenever reset color is called, what we will do? Set text color. We will put the color as what? Black. Again, we will set it to normal. And this reset color should work whenever mouse is out. That means on mouse over, get color, and on mouse out. On mouse out, what is it? Reset color. We have to just point towards it. We don't need to pass any arguments there. all have to use the reset color. So outside, right. Here mouse out, reset color. That means when mouse is over, the color will be there. Mouse is out, it is normal again. On mouse over, it will apply the color. Once mouse out, it is normal. We can handle mouse over and we can handle mouse out. So that is a simple concept how we define. Here we are using two important options here. So style binding requires a style object dynamically. Requires a style object dynamically. So syntax, how you do. So we are having a constant obj and set obj. Use state, it is an object with color, with text align. Like that you can add multiple. Like this we can add multiple. Now this we want to apply to any element. So if you want to apply to any element, then we have to write a style and into that we have to pass that obj. Whenever you set new values, so set obj, you can set like an object. Color is some green and text align is right, like that. It will apply the new whenever you set any new. That set you can define anytime on mouse over or any option you can control. So you create one style object and you apply that object to an element. So that object can change its values. So let's see another point here. So I will copy this example. Style binding.jsx. So let me copy this example. In this example, we are using two mouse events also. What are the mouse events we are using? Mouse over and mouse out. And we are binding some styles. We are defining binding some styles. Next, for example, we will see, suppose, I will clean up this. Okay. These are all functions. Now I will copy some image here. So we have some images. Okay, some flag image. I will copy this image. React project F, right? In public images, in public there are images. I will copy that. There is a flag image. Okay. Now here I am designing a div. To this div I given a style. Style is an object, height as 1000 pixel. 1000 pixel height we are giving. Below that we have a image, and this image have src flag.gif. It's a GIF file, and the width is some 50, height also 50. Now, what is the concept here is there is a div starting, which is 1000 pixels, means too much height. Because what is the screen height default? So screen width and height default is 1200 pixel width and a 768 pixel height. That is the standard height of a page. Every web page, in HTML, fixed size for pages. Page height may be increasing, but the standard size will be set, width will be set to 1200. We have to divide columns, everything for 1200 only. In CSS also you learn 12 fractions we have to divide while designing into rows and columns. So screen supports 1200 pixel for a web page. That is the standard size of web page actually. So now the point is I given 1000 pixel height. Then what happens actually, you see, currently screen is empty, nothing is there on the screen. So you can see that when I scroll down, bottom there is a image. At the bottom there is a image. It's a GIF file. There is a GIF image. So, but you cannot see it until or unless you scroll down. You cannot see that until you scroll down. So here in the div, I will put a paragraph with a message saying that move mouse pointer to test. Okay. That is just a move mouse pointer to test. Now what should happen is when I am moving the mouse in that parent div, when I am moving the mouse, we want one function. So function, we will have get position. So we have get position. This get position should work when you are moving the mouse. When you are moving the mouse on the screen, it should function. So we will write an event on mouse move. That is the event. On mouse move, get position. Okay. Now into that, by default, event arguments are passed. You will collect that event arguments E. E contains both event details as well as element details. Element and event details are present inside this E. Okay. I will create a constant style object, style obj, set style obj. And it is actually use state. It is an object. In this object, I am keeping some styles. One style is position. So style is a position. Position. And position I will give as fixed. Fixed is the position. Position is fixed. And we have another property top. It is empty. And left also empty. CSS positions. CSS, how many positions are there? 5. Relative position, absolute position, fixed position, sticky position, and a static position. We have 5 CSS positions. I'm using this position fixed. Now in this position fixed, it requires top and left values that are currently empty. Position is fixed. Or you keep position also empty, right? Now, when get position fires up, that means when we are moving the mouse, that means, for example, I am moving the mouse. When I am moving the mouse, I want its position where it is present. That means x-axis where it is present, y-axis where it is present. I want its place. How to get x-axis, y-axis position? You can get by using event argument. Na? That means what we are using, set style object. This style object is expecting an object. In that object, what is position? Position we want to give as what? Fixed. And what is top? Top is nothing but it will come from mouse y-axis position. How to get mouse y-axis position? E dot what? Client y. Client y will get the y-axis position. To that we will add px. Px means what? Pixel. Because client y will return only 200, 100, 300 like that. But CSS doesn't require just only number, it requires pixel. So we add a px value for that. Okay, what about left? Left, what we will do? We will access e dot what? Client text plus pixels. That means mouse x-axis position, and y-axis position we are collecting and we are storing in a style object. This style object we will apply to image. Image uses a style. It uses the style object. That means what we are doing, we are changing the position of image. That means we are setting a new position to image. What is the position? Position is fixed. And what is X position? X position is your mouse X position. What is Y position? Mouse Y position. Then what happens is that image will move along with the mouse. It is moving along with the mouse pointer. You can keep anything. You can put a text. You can put some image. You can put anything. You can put a button. You can put a revolving animation, anything. Actually, where is that image position? Generally, this image, this is mouse pointer. This image is somewhere below. What we are doing when user is moving the mouse, we got the position of this pointer. What is the position of pointer? X-axis, another one Y. And that position we are updating to image. That means what is meaning of fixed? You know what is the meaning of fixed? Position fixed means what? Position fixed means the element is removed from its place. If after removing from its place, what is the left position? Left position will be x-axis position. The x-axis position will be applied as left position. Y-axis position is applied as what? Top. That means now image will be in the same place where the mouse is present. And when mouse is moving, because you return move event, when mouse is moving, the position updates and it updates the image also. That means when you are moving the mouse, it is updating this. That's how the image position is updated along with the mouse position. This you can achieve by using two things. Here you learned one more event. What is it? Mouse move. On mouse move, we collected the event arguments and we used those event arguments. In previous, we used mouse over. There we used custom arguments. Right here, these default event arguments are enough. They can know the position of the mouse and you can put anything. I just used an image. You can put a heading or a text or anything you can keep there. This is dynamically how you update the position of any element or dynamically how you can apply the styles. If you want to dynamically apply the styles, you need to create a style object. Style object can set new values on different events. Those new values you need to just update to your JSX element. To the JSX element, you are updating those new values. So whenever you move the mouse, it will get the position and it will apply the position to the style object, which updates into the image. So this is another example of how we can handle the mouse. This is another example. This is mouse move related example. This is also having a combination of data style binding. Dot what? JS. I will copy this example also. In this, you need one image. You have to download one GIF image and keep a GIF image. Make sure that the GIF image is same size of the mouse pointer, smaller. Large will scatter all over the screen and it is not clear. You need to set up the size. I just given the size of the image as 50 pixel. That's enough. Right. So this is how we can bind the styles dynamically. This is the combination of style binding. Another is what? Style binding. Another one, event binding. We are using both technique here. What events we are binding here? Mouse events. Mouse over, mouse out, and mouse move. And what other events we are using? So we here we are using another concept is style binding. But if there are many styles to apply, then configuring the styles like this is a lengthy process. That means you have to change a lot of styles at a time. Then you know that if you have to have a lot of styles, then what you do in CSS, instead of style, you will write a class. What is the advantage of writing a CSS class? You can set up a lot of styles inside a class and you can just access the class and use it. So you can use styles, but styles individually requires a lot of references. If there are many styles, then what you do? Better you go with class. So many styles I have to change. Then we can go with class. So you need to know another concept while working with these mouse events. That is another concept you should know is class binding. So React style binding and React class binding. Class binding already we are doing from so many days. Already I explained in the beginning of Bootstrap also. So what is class binding is nothing but, so class binding is a technique used to, class binding is a technique used to configure CSS classes to elements dynamically. Class binding is a technique used to configure CSS classes to elements dynamically. So JSX cannot use class keyword, class attribute to bind CSS class. JSX requires class name property to bind a CSS class. JSX requires class name property to bind a CSS class. So class name is defined in a string format. Class name is defined in a string format. It is defined in a string format. Syntactically, we have a heading. So class name is equal to, so text primary, something like this. Means just I will put like a string. text primary, BG danger. Like this we can apply. And you know that multiple classes are separated with space, with blank space. That means above we are applying two classes. One is text primary, another one is BG danger. We are applying two classes. Multiple classes are separated with blank space. And you can bind a CSS class dynamically using data binding expression. You can bind you can bind a CSS class dynamically using data binding expression. Right. So data binding expression. We can define. So what is the concept here is, for example, we want to apply some effect. So we are creating here one simple class, right? Class binding, how it applies. Actually, what data binding expression means, you put a constant and style and set style, use state, and it is some having like text danger. It is a string and it is like BG warning. It's a string. And how do you apply this? Simply we configure class name and the style. So it uses that class. Whatever classes you mentioned in the state, it will use it. Remember, you can apply ready-made classes or you can apply your own classes. You can create a class, you can apply, or you can use ready-made. Ready-made means because you are using Bootstrap in the project. So by default, Bootstrap classes are available. You can apply them. For example, let's create one example for this. So let's see how it defines the class binding. Dynamically, how you can change the classes. I will add another component. So in the components, we have class binding. So class binding dot JSX. Okay. Export function class binding. And it returns a simple container. Yeah. Okay. Now in this, what we are doing is we are designing a simple div with a form. And this have a deflex, justify content center, align items center. Style, we have to write height as 100 VH, viewport height. And the form have so a heading, user login. So class bi person fill. Okay. Now we have a simple data list with a data term username. So input type is text and class name. So form control. These are all static classes. Directly we are applying a static class password. So and we are applying here input type is equal to password. And here we will put a class as form control. Form control. Okay, and we keep a button login. So we put the class btn and btn dark. Okay. Now class binding is in the startup. Okay. And you can see this is the login we are having. And we keep this W100. Okay. And this is the login. Now what happens is we are having a checkbox, a div above, and input type as checkbox. It's a checkbox. Checkbox have a label, and the label is what? Dark theme. So we have dark theme. And it is a checkbox we are having. And I will change this with a class form check input. In Bootstrap, we have form check input, that is a checkbox one. We will change that checkbox to form switch. Form switch will change the text box to switch. Okay. It will change the text box checkbox like a switch. That is a checkbox in Bootstrap with form switch like option. You know that, huh? So we can put a form switch. Okay, this is the dark theme. Now what should happen is when I select dark theme, the entire appearance of this form should change. Background should be black, foreground should be white, button should change to white. We need to apply lot of effects to lot of elements. So style binding is okay when you are applying to one element. But for multiple elements, different effects you want to apply, then we need classes. So that means now what is the concept whenever user is changing? Here we are not using mouse event, we are using a change. On change, whenever the checkbox changes, what should happen when it is changing? We need to apply a theme to this login. So we need to apply a theme to that login. So what we will do is we will write a constant theme and a set theme. Use state, we want to apply class, and class is a string. You have to configure a string. So we have to configure a string. Initially string is empty, nothing is there. Okay. So style is an object and class is a string. Whenever you want to apply dynamic style, it should be what type? Object type. So if it is class, then it should be what type? String. So classes are string type and the styles are object type. So this is a string type. Okay. When you want to toggle the theme, so I will write a function called toggle theme. Toggle theme should fire up whenever the checkbox is changing. Whenever the checkbox is changing. So checkbox uses an event called what? On change. On change indicates checked changed or value changed. If it is a text box, value change. If it is a checkbox, checked change. On check and on uncheck, it will fire up. Which function? Toggle theme. Okay, what should happen when it is checked? So if checkbox is checked, how do you know checkbox is checked? So that means you need an event argument here. This event argument can collect the checked property of checkbox. How to collect checked property of checkbox? We will write a condition e dot. I need the checked property of checkbox. This event is attached. This function is attached to checkbox. What is this e? Event argument. Event argument related to which element? Which element event argument? Checkbox event argument, because you are attaching to checkbox, na? If you are attaching to checkbox, this event argument belong to checkbox. How to get the checked property of checkbox? We have to use e dot what? Target. Target dot what? Checked. It returns true if it is selected. If it is selected, we will put set theme. What we will do is theme, we will put border. We will put border some 1. We will put padding 4. These are all classes I am applying. These are all ready-made classes. I am having ready-made classes I am applying. So border 1, border 4, padding 4. And what I will do is I will apply BG. So BG dark, I will apply text white. These all classes we are applying to that. Otherwise, what we will do is set theme. We will keep empty as usual. That means no classes we are applying. Of course, you can add a class if you want, like border and border 1. Only these two, padding 4. Only these we are adding. Background color, text color, we are not adding. That means now by default also we can put the same. By default, what we want border. Another one is border 1. Another one is padding 4. That is the default. Now where to apply this theme? This theme should be applied to form. So form will use a class. And this time class is dynamically coming. Dynamically coming from which reference? It is coming from theme. That's it. That means now what happens here? So this is the form appearance. You selected dark theme, it will apply. You turn off the dark theme, it is normal. That means the checkbox you applied, then it is changing the appearance. Dynamically, it is changing the appearance. How you know the checkbox is checked or not? By using event argument, we can verify that. So now you turn off and turn on. But here button theme is not changing. Only the form theme is changing. For button also, we can have a different theme. So what you can do is here, we can set constant. This is BTN theme. Set BTN theme. Set BTN theme. Okay. Use state. Button theme by default, it is BG dark and W100. Actually, it is having BTN and so not BG dark. It is having BTN dark and W100. Now, what should happen when checkbox is checked? When checkbox is checked, set button theme also BTN and BTN light and W100. Otherwise, what should happen? Otherwise, set button theme BTN and BTN what dark and W100. We are changing form theme. We are changing the button theme. That means now you see the button will change dynamically. We need to apply to button. We are not applying to button. So this button class is dynamically coming now. It is coming from where? Button theme. Dynamically coming from button theme. That means now it changes according. It changes according. You can put any color. Suppose on checked, I will not use BTN light. I will use BTN warning. then you can see on checked, it will be in this way. So you can change the appearance. You can change the appearance by applying a theme. You can change the complete appearance by applying a theme. This is binding of classes. So how do you bind the classes? We can bind the classes by storing the classes as string. Actually, in our example, we haven't designed any class. So we just used the ready-made classes of Bootstrap. We don't need to design because already Bootstrap have. If you have to design, let's see. We can design our own classes. Means how we can use. Let's see example here. Class binding dot what? JSX. Let me copy this class binding. So here we are using the on change event also, right? Let's see how we can apply the dynamic classes. Remember, if you know CSS, Bootstrap, then you can do a lot of animations, effects, everything, because UI presentation requires a lot of things. For example, have you seen when you created a project of React, React project starts with the app component, app component. It starts with app component. I will keep it in the startup and show you. You see how to create such revolving icon. That's very simple. If you know CSS, that's a very simple thing. We can dynamically apply. They are using CSS style, class binding related options. Is it difficult to create like that? It's a very simple one, right? For example, see, let's say I will add one more animation demo. Okay, another folder, animation demo. Okay, animation demo dot what JSX. Now here we are having a export function animation demo. Now animation demo, it returns a simple div. Okay. And the class I defined as container fluid. Okay. Now what we will do here is we will keep a div. So class as dflex, justify content center, align items center, align items center, and we have style and style object height as 100 VH. I'll just keep BG as dark. Okay. And here we are having an image. Image source is, what is it? I think ready-made image logo is present. What is this one? Yeah, this is a logo 192 PNG. What is this one? It's a large one. Huh? Okay. Logo 192 PNG. Logo 192.png. That's the image we are having. Let's keep this animation demo in the startup. Animation demo is in the startup. Animation demo in the startup, it looks like this. Now, how you will make it revolve? Right? In CSS, generally what we do, we use keyframes. Generally, I will put a animation demo CSS file now. So here I will add animation demo dot what CSS. And in this animation demo CSS, we are applying at the net keyframes. Keyframe name is spin. Keyframes, CSS have keyframes. You learned CSS keyframes, right? Spin is name of the keyframe. And from what should happen? From transform, we will use rotate. Rotate how much? 0 degree. 2, we will have transform. Transform rotate. Rotate to how many degree? 360 degree. We are rotating from 0 degree to 360 degree. And this spin should be applied to image. That means we will put a class image. Class is written with dot. Image spin is the class name. And image spin is the class name. This class name will use animation name. Animation name is what? Animation name is spin. Spin is the animation name. Animation duration. Animation duration, how many seconds it should rotate? Some 2 seconds I will give first. Just roughly I'm giving. And another option is animation. Animation iteration count. Iteration count infinite. Infinite times it should rotate. I can rotate 1 time, 2 times, 10 times. It should rotate. Actually, it will rotate only once. We want infinite times to rotate. Now this class must be binded to our image, right? What we have to do? We have to import that CSS class. So we have to import, what to import? So dot slash animation demo dot what? CSS. In that we have a class that we will apply to this one. So by using class binding, we have to get that class. Actually, directly we can apply the class. What is the class name? Image spin. That means image and the spin. That is the class. So I'm using that class. I'm applying that class image spin to that. That means it should start spinning. But it should spin in a linear way. So you can put a linear animation. What is that? So here we have to say animation timing function as linear. Animation timing function, if you put linear, then it will be like this. So that means we are doing the same what those React people have, right, in their logo. We are making it spin. And what we are doing here is, so we can adjust the speed. I can set it to 5 seconds. Then it will be more slower. Right? It is more slow. Then you put here 10 seconds. Then it will be more slow. You want fast, then you can even put as a 100 milliseconds also. 100 milliseconds, it is too fast, it is rotating. 500 milliseconds. 500 milliseconds, it is like this. That means you set the speed here. We can control the speed. Now, important point is, suppose 5 seconds I will give. Okay. Now, important point is, I need 2 buttons there. One button should spin reverse, another button should spin one direction. Can you try that? That means we want 2 buttons below, spin clockwise and spin counterclockwise. Right? So in counterclockwise, what happens? Animation direction will be reverse. And remember, usually what happens here, this is spin. We applied a spin class. But generally, we have suppose another class. Suppose we are writing another keyframe. At the net keyframes, zoom is another one. Just roughly, I'm adding one more. From, what is from? Transform scale from 1 and 2 to transform scale as suppose 3. So that means it will transform 1, 2, 3, or I will give as 1, 2, 3, fine. 3 becomes too large. 0.5. Scale from 0.5 to 3. Right? So now what we are doing is this, we will put another one, image zoom. Image zoom is another class. This class is also having same things, but this time the animation name is not spin. Animation name is what? Zoom. Zoom is the animation name. Now what should happen is here I need to apply button. So let's keep a div inside, and here we will put two buttons. So we will put a div and class margin top 3, and we have two buttons. One is spin, another button is zoom. We are having class btn as btn primary, and this is class btn as warning. Okay. Now we have two buttons, class as text center. Okay. Now you can see these are the two buttons we are having. So margin E as 2. Okay, some gap. Now what should happen when I click on zoom? This zoom effect should apply. And on spin, the spin up should apply. We can even control. If you learned timing functions, you learned JavaScript timer events, no? Set timeout, set interval. When you learn those events, you can even control that. Timings also dynamically we can control. Usually, what is the technique for this? We need to configure a state. Remember, image is not using spin now. What we will use, we will create a constant set class. This is right image style. Okay. Or any style. Any style. That is animation style. Set any style is equal to use state. Okay. What is default? Default is empty. Nothing is there. I will apply that to this image. That means image class name is using any style, which is nothing. It is not having anything. That means currently that image is not having anything. Now you know how to write the click event. That means what is it? Function spin click. On spin click, tell me what should happen. Set any style. Any style. What is it? Which class to apply? Image spin class to apply. And another function. Another function. What is it? Zoom click. On zoom click, set any style. What it should apply? It should apply image what? Zoom. These two classes we created now. And we are changing the classes. And that any style. So this button have on click. On click, which one it has to say? Spin click. And here on click, which one it has to do? Zoom click. That means now two buttons have two animation. When I click zoom, then it will be zooming like this. It is zooming like this. Right? I set zoom, then it is zooming like this. And I click spin, then it is spinning like this. So we have two type of animations here. I say zoom, then it is zooming, and if I say spin, then it will be spinning. That means spin, it will be spinning. So we can change different styles. We can move it all directions. We can add animation. This is class and style binding combination. How we can define the classes, styles, binding dynamically. Why you need dynamic classes? Remember, a React person says, I don't know CSS, then it is joke. I don't know Bootstrap, I don't know CSS, it is like joke. What you are talking about? You are a front-end React developer, means front-end genius web developer. And he says that I don't know CSS, what to do, learn. So without that, you are not a React developer. You can't manage. You are zero. That means you are not suitable as a developer, as a React developer. CSS styling, because React main aim is to make interactive UI. And how you would say you are React developer? Bootstrap and all these, not only Bootstrap, a lot of third parties also there, which companies uses. So React is just after all a library. Building UI with this library requires a lot of styling and others. You should know all these, right? These are all generally CSS basics. See, in CSS, how do you write the styles and all, right? Now, once you know this, now we can add more. Currently, we learned only few events. What are those events? So on, mouse over, mouse out, mouse move, and today we have seen on change. So we have seen on click. Here in 2 occasions we used on click, and we used style binding as well as class. This example also I will copy to you. Here 2 are to be given to you. This is example for animation. This is animation demo dot what CSS. This is CSS animation demo dot what JSX. This is animation demo JSX. These are the examples. This is enough for today. You need to try this. Once you are good with this, then tomorrow we are going to learn about keyboard events. Today we have seen the mouse events. Tomorrow we will see keyboard events, how keyboard events are used, right? Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay, right.